Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The unveiling of a new mascot for Thunder Bay's 50th birthday celebration has led to online criticism and an apology from city officials. A video which showcased the new character was pulled down soon after it was posted. The issue arises from the mascot being a bird named Thunder. The Thunderbird is a sacred symbol for many Indigenous cultures, which apparently resulted in a fair amount of public backlash online. Troy Charles spoke with Councillor Shelby Chung, who is also the chair for the 50th Anniversary Committee, and filed this report.
Councillor Chung says the original plan was to have this mascot attend many fun 50th anniversary events around the city and then eventually have the mascot named with public input. Due to COVID-19, that was not possible, so the name Thunder was chosen. After seeing many negative comments about the bird mascot and its name, Chung and her team felt it was necessary to pull down the images and go back to the drawing board.
It's a good idea to be responsive and say, hey, look, I hear you and I want to make this better. So how do we do that? How do we move forward? And I think pulling down the imagery of the bird was a good idea and a good step, and issuing an immediate statement, which I think was warranted. Now, where do we go from here? I would like to see us go back to the drawing board, see how we could involve the community in this COVID world, and go from there.
In the city's apology on its Facebook page, they originally had written that the concept was okay by city's Elders Council and Fort William Chief Peter Collins. That part of the post has since been removed. We spoke with Collins and he said he was fine with the name, saying it showed unity with the city and First Nations. Meanwhile, the Thunder Bay coat of arms has also sparked some controversy online, with the image of a Voyager standing on the chest of Nanabiju, the sleeping giant, drawing scrutiny. Chung had this to say when asked about the coat of arms.
The coat of arms, these are relics from a society where colonialism was great. And I think we should take a look at it, absolutely. Do we need to start having conversations? Yeah, we should have had them a long time ago. I know it's not going to be easy, and I might take a lot of political flack over it, but I'm not here to be people's friends. I'm here to do what I think is in the best interest of all of us. And that doesn't just mean white people, it doesn't mean just Indigenous people, it means all of us together. So looking at things like this and I think is warranted.
Chung says public engagement to name the mascot will take place in July and will be launched to the public at that time. Troy Charles, TBT News.
The Sister Cities Advisory Group is trying to convince City Council not to dissolve the committee and cut its small budget. The group says such a move, recommended in the recent Program and Services Review, won't provide much savings, and they're hoping to change the public's perception of what it brings to Thunder Bay. Michael Mahorovich has more.
In the consultant's review released on June 22nd, one of the cost-saving measures recommended was cutting the Sister Cities Committee down to just one person to handle the program. But the committee chair, Matthew Villela, hopes that City Council won't follow through with that recommendation.
In the report, in January, it wasn't a surprise. Based on what's in the public, and I know that a few councillors are on the table who are against Sister Cities, so it wasn't a surprise. However, it was a surprise that they didn't reach out to talk to us. They haven't, even for stage 2, they haven't. And so they are telling councillors to get rid of us, but in fact they didn't come and talk to us and actually get factual information for that report, which was really surprising.
Thunder Bay currently has 5 sister cities, and according to Villela, those partnerships netted Thunder Bay a $50,000 economic benefit in 2019. The committee does have support on City Council, with Councillor Peng Yu seeing the value in maintaining those relationships and the committee.
It was worth it, was not worth it. So many committees, some people, the committee been there for a long time with a lot of big budget. You know, this Sister City Committee is small, you know, it's like a 25,000 annual budget, 17,000 expenditure. That's why I asked why. I don't want to know the reason. If you give me a good reason, we know we do it.
The Sister Cities program introduces different cultures, business ideas, and opportunities. Both Villela and Peng Yu believe the opportunities this committee brings to the city are vitally important and can open international doors for Thunder Bay.
It's for dollar value, it's $250,000, just donation statues. 10 years of budget, Come on. So that's why lots of people may not know that's value there. So other part is, can we do better? Sure, we can do way better. But that's why we work on that.
So on average, the CEDC recommends that if an American individual comes up here, they typically spend $285 to $300 a night based on hotel, food, and things in the community. If an international individual comes and spends time in Thunder Bay, usually 2 to 3 nights, they typically spend anywhere from $400 to $600 per stay. All that is happening based on what we've done.
Michael Mohorovich, TBT News.
Premier Doug Ford is vowing to overhaul the province's towing industry amid a bitter turf war linking many drivers to organized crime.
These turf wars are totally unacceptable. There's no place for that kind of activity in our cities, in our province, and along our highways. To all the bad actors out there, my message is very clear. The party's over. We're coming for you, and we'll catch you, and we will lock you up.
Today, Ford announced a new task force will create a regulatory model for the drivers. Over the past 2 years, the troubled industry has been linked to at least 1 murder, arson, and fraud incidents. Pride Month is coming to a close, and as several communities had online celebrations this year, the town of Emo is a big exception. After a controversial decision by town council to not even acknowledge June as Pride Month, members of the LGBTQ community decided to ambush Emo this weekend with all the colors of the rainbow. Corey Nordstrom has more.
More than 60 vehicles full of queer cheer flooded the streets of Emo, a town which has recently captured national headlines for its refusal to acknowledge June as Pride Month. The peaceful protest, dubbed the Emo Ambush, garnered support from across the Northwest. A designated route took the colorful display throughout much of the town of just under 1,400. Emo resident Lisa Loney proudly waved her flag for a movement that means a lot to her.
I kind of thought I left this bigotry behind maybe in the last century. Reading the comments that were negative, that was pretty hurtful. Today seemed to erase all of that, you know, that positive vibe that everybody was giving.
It's really lovely to see the way that people have come together and they've kind of taken on this alternative way of celebrating Pride, and it's just, I want to cry, but I shouldn't because I'm wearing makeup.
Pride is super important to have in every day and every aspect of your life, so me being here today is to help stand up for that.
Emo Mayor Harold McQuaker stood by his voting decision in May, at the time citing the town having a strong Christian base and the lack of any flag for straight people. For participants in the ambush, those words still bring strong emotions.
I grew up in an environment where I could not be racist, homophobic, anything. So it was very surprising to me that people could hate on people for just the smallest thing like that.
It's gross. I find it very gross. Like, everyone should be able to love who they love and be themselves.
The ambush is meant as a fun, light way to bring some pride visibility to the small community, but it also comes during a serious time where Borderland Pride has filed a human rights complaint against the municipality of Emo.
That's a process that's also part of this dialogue, is affirming that the role of our institutions in fostering inclusion, in fighting discrimination, in standing with vulnerable groups and equity-seeking communities. The law is well established on this, but we need to send that message to the most remote parts of Ontario and Canada to tell our local officials that they have a role in the process.
Members of the LGBTQ2S community in the area remain hopeful that this display helped move the needle when it comes to making Emo and other similar towns a more inclusive place regardless of sexual orientation or gender. Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
A potentially dangerous call for Thunder Bay Fire Rescue this morning. Crews were scrambled to the Resolute sawmill after a large log loader caught fire. When they arrived on scene, crews found the machine fully engulfed in flames, sitting only a short distance away from the main sawmill building and a large wood supply. Fuel and hydraulic fluid in the vehicle made it particularly hard to extinguish the flames. Foam had to be used to smother the fire. It's believed mechanical overheating in the machine's engine compartment led to the outbreak. A section of Red River Road has been closed in both directions as businesses and the city work together to set up a patio area on half of the street. From Court to St. Paul Street, traffic is being halted for work on the waterfront BIA's Streetery and Marketplace. City picnic tables will soon be spaced strategically to allow the many restaurants along Red River to utilize the shared space. Mayor Bill Morrow says he hopes this allows businesses to serve more customers and in turn gives pedestrians more opportunity to safely enjoy the area. Red River is expected to reopen to one lane of eastbound traffic on Friday. The westbound lane will remain closed for the remainder of the summer. Some good news for recycling services in the city of Thunder Bay. As of July 1st, the city will now be accepting a wider variety of plastic containers. The program is being expanded so that all number 1 and 2 plastic containers can be recycled. That means clamshell containers, often used for salads, vegetables, berries, and pastries, are now included. Prior to this, residents were only allowed to recycle number 1 and 2 plastic bottles. These new plastics are expected to add a couple hundred metric tons to the city's annual 7,000-ton haul of recyclable material. Jason Sherban is the manager of Solid Waste and Recycling Services. He says some residents were already trying to recycle these clamshell containers, and now those containers won't have to be sorted and sent to landfills.
This is something the community's been asking for a long time, and to be able to do this and deliver this now, I think is a real positive story, but it's positive for the program overall because we haven't seen significant improvements like this for a very long time.
Sherban wants to remind residents to check the label on the containers to ensure it's recyclable with a number 1 or 2 on it, and always rinse and remove any food residue. The Thunder Bay Museum has reopened its doors to the public with a few changes. Visits to the museum can only be arranged by appointment made by either phone or email, and visits are limited to groups up to 10. Appointments will also be staggered to limit the number of people in the building. The museum will also have a pre-screening questionnaire, and it requires all visitors wear masks and continue to maintain social distancing. Museum Executive Director Scott Bradley says they're very happy to be back serving the community and says being closed for so long was quite difficult.
So it was very hard to be closed from March all the way through the end of June. We had a lot of people calling us and looking for programs for their kids, or people looking to do research, or just looking for something to do with their family to educate them. And so it was hard to be closed for all those months. It's difficult on the staff to be away from their primary place of work, and challenging to meet all of our mission goals. So it's really good to be back.
On a less positive note, the museum has had to cancel its annual fundraising dinner called A Taste of History, which was supposed to take place on September 18th. Thunder Bay's only 4-star hotel is back open again following a 3-month shutdown during the COVID-19 pandemic. For the first time since March 28th, the Delta Marriott on the waterfront started welcoming guests today. The hotel was one of several in the city that decided to close, mainly due to the big drop in guests looking for a room. Staff are making sure all guests feel comfortable and have no concerns for safety or cleanliness. The Delta has installed plexiglass windows at the front desk, placed markings on the floor, and anyone using the lobby computers must go to the front desk and receive a keyboard and mouse that have been sanitized. Hotel GM Corinne Oatman-Howell admits that some of her staff were a little uneasy coming back to work.
I guess some of them are a little cautious, as anybody would be when you're returning to work, just that unknown of coming back for those first few days. But excited to be here and very engaged, and can't wait to see guests come through the front doors again. We were doing the right thing for the right reasons, and that we chose to close as opposed to stay open with the low occupancies. It was that balance between making sure you're doing the right thing for your guests as well as your ownership group and their investment that they have here in the hotel.
Oatman-Howell also says for the time being, they have only opened a few floors, but as business begins to increase, they will gradually open more. With the City of Thunder Bay canceling its annual Canada Day fireworks display at the marina this year, it looks like sales of smaller backyard fireworks are going through the roof. Local retailers are reporting a big increase in business, and they want people buying fireworks to know the dangers involved and how to be safe. Avery McCrae explains.
Although Marina Park may not light up the Thunder Bay skies like it normally does every Canada Day, residents should still expect a colorful night sky on Wednesday. Both Pyro Boys on Arthur Street and Fireworks Unlimited on Fort William Road expect busy lineups on Canada Day, with residents trying to get their last-second firecrackers. fireworks can be legally lit in one's own backyard. Pyro Boys president Bill Groombridge says it's not only the holidays that have been busier than normal this year.
My numbers are higher at this point in time than they normally are at this point.
We've had lineups for the last 3 days. Today, Sunday, is a little quieter, but still, as you can see, I'm still getting a lot of customers. And I guess maybe with the city not doing their fireworks at the marina, plus this beautiful weather we're having, it's helping.
A lot of people coming in that have never done fireworks before because there's no big events going on.
Both fireworks shops have made changes in service due to COVID-19. Pyro Boys now has a designated entrance and exit, and Fireworks Unlimited has set up a screen to separate customers from employees. Both shops are limiting the amount of people inside and using extra cleaning measures. As fun as fireworks are, the crackers do pose a risk to both those lighting them and spectators, and it's important to follow the safety guidelines.
Keep a safe distance, keep your spectators back, keep a pail of water, fire extinguisher, even better if you do have it. Watch for overhead wires or trees, of course.
Leave the alcohol till after the show. Ask us questions, because when it gets busy, I tend not to have the chance to explain everything to everybody. You've got to mount everything down so it doesn't fall over. That's one of the biggest factors. If it feels like it can fall over, it will. So mount everything down with some sand, some weight. Be creative in supporting everything, and that's the biggest thing.
Both Groombridge and Hoffman urge customers to come sooner than later to grab their fireworks to avoid the long lines, as well as learn how to safely perform their very own fireworks shows. Avery McRae, TBT News.
Yeah, if you tried to light any fireworks at any point today, it could have had some issues, Fiona. I don't know if it's monsoon season or if hurricane